Despite all the offseason buzz about Florida State, the ACC media has put in their votes, and Clemson is the favorite to win the ACC. Clemson received 103 first-place votes, Florida State 67, 5 went to North Carolina, and 1 to NC State. So that's 176 votes, and 103 of them went to Clemson. So Florida State still, right behind them in points, but Clemson the clear favorite. So a little bit of a surprise, Florida State, and rightfully so. Florida State got a lot of buzz because they brought back a ton of talent, especially on offense, and then they added to it with Keon Coleman, a guy who would arguably be Clemson's best and maybe will be their best wide receiver. So it's no longer a one-team race, and as we look down this ACC poll, it looks like 3 tiers to me. Clemson, Florida State are 1-2. I think there's a clear break after that. Clemson has a chance to be a playoff team if their wide receivers and the passing game really improve, which I think there's a good chance they will with Garrett Riley coming in, receivers getting healthy, and new quarterback. So those are some of the main questions for Clemson. Florida State is bringing in a lot of talent. They don't beat ranked teams, not often and not for a while. So that's going to be the next step for them, not just taking care of business against teams you're supposed to beat because you out-talent them, but can you beat an LSU or a Clemson? And they may get 2 shots at Clemson. After that, North Carolina was a fairly distant third. I'm not that high on North Carolina. I just wonder how much do they have after the quarterback? Josh Downs is gone. They lost Phil Longa, who went to Wisconsin to be their offensive coordinator. I just question how good they are, and I almost wonder if this is the swan song for Mac Brown. He's a guy that everyone seems to love and talks about a lot, but I just don't know how much he's really produced since Vince Young left at Texas. His teams have pretty bad defenses. North Carolina may be another one of those. I think they could be a little overrated. Number 4 is NC State. I was surprised to see them that high. I thought I was one of the lone folks who was very high on them. Normally, I like to use the space to trash on them as one of my most hated teams as a Clemson fan. But I think NC State, with Robert Anae coming in as offensive coordinator, they got him out of Syracuse. I think that's a great, great addition. Goes under the radar. It's not going to get the attention that Clemson getting Garrett Riley will garner, nor should it. But it's in the same vein because they're modernizing their offense. Not only that, they got Brennan Armstrong, who, foreshadowing a little bit to Virginia, but when Tony Elliott got there, that offense declined rapidly. They got rid of Robert Anae, who then went to Syracuse, left Virginia. And you saw Brennan Armstrong go from the best quarterback in the ACC to one of the worst. Now he reunites with Robert Anae at NC State. I think they're really dangerous. I think that they could definitely finish the top 4 in the ACC. I think, I thought people were sleeping on them, but interesting to see that the ACC media recognizes them and gives them the number 4 spot. Miami at number 5. They have the talent, but I'll never bet on them. Duke and Pittsburgh tied at 6. I think that makes great sense. Duke brings back a lot of talent from a team that was pretty good last year, and Pittsburgh is remarkably consistent and reliable. And then 8 is Louisville. With Jeff Brom coming in, brought in a lot of transfers. They weren't bad last year. I think they could be higher because they're on the year. They're going to rotate every other year, getting Florida State and Clemson same year, and then neither of them in the next year. And this is a year where they don't face Clemson or Florida State. So in non-conference play, they get Notre Dame and Kentucky. They may lose those, but I think in conference play, they have a chance to go 6-2 or something like that. I could see them going 6-2 in ACC play and 2-2 in non-conference play. Probably be my kind of off-the-cuff prediction for them. So that would push them probably higher than 8th. And then Wake Forest is 9th. Mitch Griffiths takes over at quarterback. Sam Hartman off to Notre Dame. Their offense will still put up prolific numbers, but I don't know if it'll quite be the same, and their defense is pretty consistently bad. So they're kind of maybe the last of that tier. And then 10 through 14, I'll go through these fast. It's Syracuse, Virginia Tech, Georgia Tech, Boston College, and Virginia. And just kind of to sum it up, the bottom of the ACC, I haven't done an extensive review of the bottom of every conference, but it's pretty bad. There's bad teams in other conferences. Vanderbilt, Cal out in the Pac-12, but this is a pretty weak bottom of the ACC. And so I think you see a lot of the teams in the middle and the top to pick up some wins there. But really, I think aside from Louisville being a little bit lower than I'd have, I'd probably swap Miami and Louisville at 5 and 8 and put Louisville at 5, Miami at 8. But otherwise, I think the AC media did pretty well. And I think despite all the buzz, putting Clemson first is right. And just sort of to end on that note about Clemson and Florida State, I think Florida State is really good. If they can get by LSU, I think they'll be legitimately in the playoff discussion. But Clemson has the better defense. Clemson, you can trust. They do it every year. They've won 7 out of 8 ACC championships, including being the reigning ACC champion. And Cade Klubnik, while he's inexperienced, he's a 5-star with the potential to compete with Jordan Travis as being one of the better quarterbacks in the conference. So I think it's right. I think Clemson deserves to be the favorite, even if it's a close favorite. So kudos to the ACC media on getting this one right.